Alright guys, I'm going to show you guys how to make one of my wire harnesses real quick. This is just going to be a start to stop video. I'm going to follow my own instructions. I'll let you see every step as I do it. It's really actually pretty simple to do. So, alright, so the tools needed. I got my crimping tool, I got wire cutters, a wire stripper. You can also use a hobby knife or strippers if you need to. And then you gotta have a little bit of patience. Sometimes it's just a little bit tricky, but also I'm going to show you the tricks in this video. Okay, so according to the diagram, you need to cut wire lengths 3 of 5 inch and then 3 of 16¼ inch. So I've got it measured out here. Once I cut one wire, I'm going to go ahead and just cut the others the exact same length, like this. Okay. These are the 3 5-inch wires. We'll set those aside. And then I'm going to cut the 16¼ inch wires now. Cut the same length. Make 3 of each length. There's 2. Okay, here is 3. Okay, we're going to group these wires together. We'll set those aside for right now. So then we're going to cut 14-inch and 18-inch wires, 3 of each length. So here's a 14. Cut the same length. One more, have 3 total. Okay, these are the 14-inch wires. I'm going to put those separate from the other group of wires, and then we're going to cut the last set, which is 18-inch. Same length, 18-inch wire. Alright, that's number 2. Number 3. Okay, we've got 3 18-inch wires. Alright, group those together with the 14-inch wires. Alright, and the next step is we're going to strip a 1/4 inch or just a little bit more off of the end of all the wires, and be careful not to mix up the 2 different groups of wires. Okay, so we're going to start with the 5-inch wires. And if you don't have one of these, they're a lifesaver. You can strip wires in other ways, but I make so many of these make it a really quick thing. So about a 1/4 inch. And then for the other side, sometimes I do just a little bit more. It makes it a little bit easier to crimp on the Mitsubishi side pins. So I'm going to shift these real quick. Okay, 5-inch wires with the end strip. These are the 16¼ inch wires. Okay. Alright, there's one side. Alright, these are all done. Set those back with the 5-inch wires. Okay, and now I've got the 14-inch wires. We'll do the same thing to the ends of these. Okay, 14-inch done. Here's the 18-inch. the other ends here. Okay, those are done. And usually I say this to the end, but I'm going to go ahead and show you this right now. You only use 3 ports in the Denso connector, so I cut about a 2 to 3 inch extra piece of wire to make a dummy plug for that unused port, so no water gets in there. You definitely don't want water in the connectors. Okay, and on these you just strip one end of them because the other end's not going to connect to anything. It's just going to be hidden inside the wire sheath. Okay, we'll set these little wires aside. They don't have to be a perfect length because they're not going to really be connecting to anything. Okay, so you clean up these little pieces of wire here, and then you're done with the wire stripping for right now. Okay, so then we're going to, we're going to twist the ends of the 5-inch and 16¼ inch wires together and repeat 2 more times until all 5-inch and 16¼ inch wires are joined at one end as seen below. So that means you're going to grab one 5-inch wire and one 16¼ inch wire, and you're going to twist the ends of them together like this. And it's okay if you do it like that. I always just use a pair of pliers like this just to make sure they get wound together really good, because you don't want them coming apart. Alright, so once you do that on that one, you're going to connect the rest of them like that. You can either do them all together same time, or you can put the pin on the end of them, however you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and just show you putting these together right now. Okay, this is another 5-inch and 16¼ inch wire, and then here's the last set of those length wires. I kind of bend them to the sides so they have a little bit more to wrap around. Everybody's got their own techniques. Okay, this is what the 3 sets of wires should look like. And now you're going to take the pins that come in the package with the Mitsubishi connector. These are what these look like, and you're going to crimp these on the end of each one. I usually try and get it about right there, so just the edge of the black part of the wire is just in the bottom of it. And if you don't have a pair of these are also a lifesaver. These make crimping very easy to do. They're not very expensive, and even if you're just making this one kit, it might be a good idea for you to buy them so you don't have to remake the kit. These make a really good secure kit, and this is what allows me to offer my lifetime warranty without any worry, because there's no way this is going to come apart. Okay, and I use these to connect the little tabs on the bottom so you can get it in the biggest piece here. And I just put the last crimp in it there. Okay, and then your wires should look like this in the first Mitsubishi pin. And then what I do is I just slide this little seal on here, about right there. And then you're going to make sure you've got it in the right way. And then you just slide it in, and you're going to hear a little click. Okay, I don't know if you can hear it on the video, but there's just a tiny little click. What I do is put this down, get this little eyeglass screwdriver, and just use it to push the seal down into it. It's a little bit harder than it is on the other connectors because you're putting 2 wires in one connector where it's meant to just only have one, but it can be done. And this is really important because you don't want water getting inside your connectors. Okay, that one's done. I'm going to do the same thing with the other wires. Okay, and you see how these last 2 pieces stick up? You can probably do it with this, but most of the time I just, yeah, sometimes it works with that, and sometimes it's easier to lay them down first. Okay, and then you're going to put the seal on this one, right there, and then slide it in the second port. And it doesn't matter which ones you put these in, as long as you're going to have the same amount of wires in each one. It does matter later on where they go, though. sure you can see this. Sometimes this takes just a little bit of work. You don't want to force it in too hard, or you might rip the little seal. So just work it around the outside edges until it goes down in there like that. Okay. All right, and we're going to take the last set of these wires and connect it the same way. I usually put about 3 crimps in it to make sure that the wire's completely in there, and then I put one at the end to make sure it goes around the base of it, so it gets really tight crimps in there. Okay, sometimes it helps to make sure that the connector is completely straight, because if it's not, it might scrub just a little bit trying to put it into the connector. So just go in the last hole here. See, like that, it's just a little hard to get in there, but sometimes you just wiggle a little back and forth, and it will go in, snapped into place. Okay. And that is a very important click you want to hear. You definitely want to hear it snap into place, because if you don't, that means that the tab that holds the pin in there did not completely secure with the pin. And you could get this on your car if it's not secured that way. Just a little move of the wire could pull that pin out and it'll cause a misfire. So please make sure you get those in there completely. They should all be the same length. If you can see that. Yeah, okay. The pins should all be the same length, and you should be able to give them really firm tug, and they should not come out. Okay, for now we're going to put these to the side. We're going to do the same thing with the other set of wires, and make sure you get one of the 14-inch and one of the 18-inch. I don't want to tell you how many times I've accidentally put together 2 of the same length wires, and that's a mess. You gotta either cut new wires or take them apart and put the right lengths together. So you want a short wire and a long wire together, because they're going to different places. Alright, for these you're going to do the exact same thing we just did with the other set of wires. Put this wire in the connector here. Okay, with this one I'm going to fold these over a little bit myself. Okay, I got that one done. Don't forget the seal. Usually put it right there. It's a good spot where it'll kind of stay in there a little bit. Alright, make sure you got this the right way. You slide it in and click. There you go. Okay, and then put the seal down in the connector. This is a pretty important part too. If you don't push the seal all the way in, then you're going to be able to let water get into your connector. You don't want that happening. So this is one that's going to be a little bit more stubborn than the others. Sometimes they just do that. You got to keep working on. It will eventually go down in there. And just in case you do mess up any of the pins or any of the seals, you just give me a call or send me a message, and I can send out a replacement set for you. Try and help everybody as much as I can. I have made literally hundreds of these just this year, 2017. Probably make at least 10 or 15 a week to keep up with the demand. So I've got pretty good and pretty quick at putting these together. And I've had absolutely 0 returns or 0 defects with my wire harnesses. They're pretty well made. Okay, that one's a little stubborn, but I did get it in there. We're going to do the same thing with the other wires. Once again, make sure you've got a shorter and a longer wire. Twist them together. Right. and then I'm going to fold this over. And 3. Okay, that one's good, tight. Alright, we're going to put the seal on it, a little insulator, boot, whatever you call it. And then it's going to go in the second one. And snap. Okay, that one's in there good. This one's going a little bit quicker than the other one did. Okay, second one's in there. And for the third one, get these the last set of wires. They should also have one shorter, one longer. Try to connect these ends because they're a little bit longer. Alright, and you have the last pin here for the Mitsubishi connector. 1, 2, and that one. That. Okay, and sometimes if they come out a little crooked, you can also put it back in the middle of the crimping tool and it will straighten it up a little bit. Okay, so that's the last one. I'm going to slide the seal on it here, and then it's going in the last connector. Last plug. Okay. Sometimes they are a little hard to get in there. Like I said before, this one does have a little bend in it. Straighten it up just a little bit, and that should help. Sometimes it does take a little force to get them to snap in there. There we go. Heard it snap, and it's in there. Okay. Put the insulator in here. This one's about in there. Okay, it's done. Alright, right now is another important step you don't want to forget. We've got the other little insulators that came with the bag of the Denso connectors. What you want to do right now is put all of those on the wires. You don't want to forget this part because it is a pain to get them on after you put the connector or the pins on each of the wires. Okay, so just slide these on with the the pointier end facing out. Sometimes it helps if you twist them on just a little bit. Little wire strands will get stuck in the middle of them. Okay. And you should have 6 for this one connector. This set of wires. It should look like this. Okay, and then I put that aside for a second, and then I grab the other connector with the wires coming out of it and do the same thing. Put the insulators on the smaller wires and the larger. And I usually just slide them down probably about 1 inch. Doesn't really matter right now because you gotta put the pins on the end and then slide them back over it. Okay. That's there. And you can go ahead and also grab the little extra plugs and you slide them on about halfway of those. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and show you on these little connectors here since it's easier to show up. You can take these pins, and I usually put the very tip of the wire almost at the very edge of it right here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Right there is where I put the wire to. And as long as the wire is at the same spot each time, it doesn't matter exactly how much is stripped back. You'll always have the same length connection, as long as you cut the wires the right length. Okay, and then I put 2 crimps in that, and then that makes a really nice, clean connection right here. And then I'd slide the insulator down over top of it till it gets to the bottom like that. So we're going to repeat that on all of the wires right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this real quick. If you need to fast forward, you can. I'll be showing you where to put the wires and through the wire sheath and into the connectors and the right ports in just a minute. I'll show you my secret on how to make it look really nice whenever you're routing the wires through the wire sheath. Okay. We got those little pins, little plugs. Put those aside. Then I'm going to do the same thing on all of these. These usually only take like 2 little crimps like that, and they're on there. Get the longer ones on the 5" and the 16¼ connector. Alright, let me do this on the smaller ones now. And just pull the connector all the way down the bottom like that. You'll see why later when we start putting through the wire sheath. Okay, alright, this one is good for now. We're going to set it aside and put the little Denso connector pins on the other wires here. We should have just the right amount of pins when we're done. Shouldn't have any left. Three left. Alright, this is the last one. We'll move on to the next step. Okay, that's it. If you want to go through and just check your connections, as long as you're using one of these tools, it's going to be really tight anyways, but never hurts to double check. Alright, so we're good on all these. Alright, so now we're going to start running the wires through the wire sheath and then into the connectors. And this is a part that most people get confused, but it's really not hard. Just pay attention. Alright, you're going to put the connector with the connection part at the top, and then you're going to separate the wires. So I take the short wires, bend them up, get them separated from the longer, and they're out of the way. Alright, so we kind of separate them like this. Okay, and then you're going to measure. I usually leave maybe about 1/4 inch at the top here, and then I come to the very bottom of the connector here, and that's how long you're going to cut your first piece of wire sheath. And you can use scissors or you can use wire crimpers, either way. And so you're going to start with the far right wire with the connector up. Okay, you're going to put the wire sheath through the whole piece, and then you're going to grab this wire, and this wire goes in the far right port. Let me pull up the diagram here, showing you what I'm talking about. Okay, we just grabbed the 12-volt wire from the Mitsubishi connector, and it's going to go in port number 1 in the Denso connector. And from looking at it from the back side, it is the far right hole. So we're just going to put it in there with this slid down just a little bit like that, and it should slide in, and you should hear a snap. Okay, so that one's in there for good. Okay, alright, then we're going to work on the middle wire. We're going to then take it, run it through the same wire sheath, and when it comes out, that one is going to go in the far left, which is middle of Mitsubishi to far left ground of Denso. Okay, I've done so many of these I don't even think about it anymore. I know exactly where they go. I just do it, but for the video I'm showing you. Okay, that one snapped in there, and then you're going to take the last of the same length wire, put it through there. It helps if you kind of like circle it like that, so you don't bend the wire and then you kind of get a kink in it. Pull it through. Okay, that's the last wire, and this last wire, which is the pulse wire, is going to go in the port number 3, which, looking at from this direction, is the one on the left next to the one we just put in a second ago. And these need to go in with the top flat, and you will hear them snap in. Okay, that one snapped in. Alright, you notice you've got the hole that's left, but you're not going to connect anything in there yet because it would, put an extra thing in the way when you're wiring the rest of these. Alright, if you want to, you can do the same thing with the wire sheath with these wires, and just, have a second set of wire sheath together like this. Or you can do what I do for mine. It saves a little bit of wire sheath, and it has a little bit of a cleaner look, less leads going out. You can start with the far right wire with this part up. I'm going to run it through the same piece of wire sheath that you've already used for the other connector. So you're going to pull that all the way through like that. Okay, and you're going to have this piece of wire coming out of this piece. So then you're going to take this, and I usually measure about 1 inch, into the other wire sheath, and then you're going to measure all the way to the end of this one to about right here. So then I'm going to cut it right there. Set that aside for later. And then this, remember this is still the far right wire with the connector up. This is going to run through this wire sheath. And then what I do is pull it up like this a little bit so I get enough coming out at the end to connect, because you do have an extra inch of wire sheath there. Alright, so this one is going in the far right port. Okay, then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to be working with the middle wire now. Middle wire is going to go through the shorter piece of wire sheath first, come out here. I usually pull it all the way out. Makes it easier than trying to push it all the way through the first time. You're going to take it like that, and then you're going to fish it through the second piece of wire sheath. Kind of pull it apart, put it through there. Okay, and that piece should come out like this. This one's going to go in the far left port. Okay, and then the last wire. Looking from the top, this is the far left wire. This is going to go again through the same short piece of wire sheath. Sometimes you gotta fiddle with it a little bit to get it to go through. So many wires in there now. It's not so hard though. You that way. Fish it through a little bit at a time and it'll come through. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And it's going to go through this piece of wire sheath. All the way to the end. Okay. And then come out here. This one's going to go in the port on the left next to the one we just connected. And snap. And if the seal doesn't go completely down in there, you can also use the same tool to just push it down a little bit. You don't want to push it all the way down because you'll expose some of the connector. It just needs to clear the edge of the connector. Okay, so you've got the first piece almost completed. The last step for this is to put these pieces, these little extra plugs, in the hole that you left there that's not used. And then you're going to put that piece in here, and it looks like there's 4 connections there. Most people don't even notice that. So here's the other one. This is going to go in this one. Okay, snapped in, and this is going to go down there. And then I take the wire sheath from the small piece, and it goes over top of the bigger piece, like that. And then you slide it up on there. Make sure you get the right length at the end of this one by pulling this one down and going over top of it even more. So you got them both the right length. Okay, this is half of your wire harness complete. You can move it, shape it however you need to go in your car the right way. You can twist these connectors around to get them to go up the right way, but besides that, half of it's done. Now you're going to do the exact same thing on the second one. We're going to start with the shorter set of wires, which in this case is the 14-inch wire. We're going to put it up to the top, separate it from the longer. And this is a shorter one from that one, and then the last. Okay, all 3 the same length. I'm going to put the longer wires in here for now, and then we're going to take more of the wire sheath. And you're going to measure about 1/4 inch from the connector all the way down to the edge of this pin. I'm going to cut that length. Okay, and then we're going to start from the connector up, from the right wire, the shorter. We're going to put that all the way through the wire sheath. And then we're going to do the same thing with these. We're going to connect that one to the first pin on the right. Okay, that one's in. And then the middle wire from the top of this is going to go all the way through. And that will come out here, and that one goes in the far left. Connected. Okay, and then you got the other one that's left. That one is going to go through here. That. And then that's going to go in the pin next to the one on the left. You just put in. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with the other one that we did. We're going to take the longer wire on the right side with the pin connector up. We're going to fish it through. This one tends to be a little bit easier than the other one because the wires are longer. Okay, that one came through on this end. Sometimes it gets kinked there, so you want to make sure you get it straight so there's no kinked wires in there. Okay, for this one you can use the other little piece that you had here, or if the rest that you had is still a longer piece, that's fine too. We'll make about 1 inch here, and then that was just about the right size. I'm going to cut a little bit off right here. Okay. So we're going to run the rest of this wire through this wire sheath. And remember that was from the far right side of the Mitsubishi connector, and it's going to go in the right side of this one. Okay. And we're going to grab the middle wire. It's going going to go through this piece first. It helps if you pull the wire sheath straight so the pin slides through easier. Okay, so then we feel that one come to the end here. Pull it all the way through, make sure this doesn't get kinked. And then we're going to finish putting it through the rest of the way of the other wire sheath. Okay, and then that was the middle Mitsubishi connector, so it's going to go in the far left side of the Denso connector. So that's in. Okay, and then we got the last wire. Last wire will go through here. So that's the most amount of wire in there now, so this one's going to be a little bit harder, but it will work. This helps if you've got the wire sheath as straight as possible so there's no kinks to stop it. Sometimes you can pull it up like that and then pull the wire through. There we go. Almost there. There we go. Alright, pull it through. Make sure this doesn't get kinked up here. Kind of hold it over your finger and pull it straight. And then the last wire goes through here. Okay, and then that one goes right into the left hole. And then, like the other one, you're going to use your plugs and plug the hole like that. Hide that wire. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing to this one. And there. And then that wire goes in there. Alright, for this one, it's best if you have the connectors upside down like this on top of each other. When you put the wire sheath over the smaller wire sheath, because these are going to angle up to your coils. Okay, so your last piece of wire should go kind of like this. And I usually will bend these up like that because they're going to bend up into the coils that way. So after you've done that, that's pretty much all you need to do to assemble your wire harnesses. They should look just like this. And you can follow the link under the description or in the video or however I put it to order your own kit. And you can order a fully made kit if you don't want to go through this hassle, which to me it's not really that much of a hassle anymore. If you got any questions, message me, call me, leave a comment. Thanks for watching.